So how does it all look? Is my hair good? It's all
The States, you don't grow up with the same understanding of the royal family.
Well, that's just not true.
I didn't know much about him.
Well, that's just not true.
January 2026, and the internet just exploded with chaos. A brand new yacht and photos of Meghan Markle just dropped out of nowhere. These aren't the same old pictures that people have argued over for years. And these are brand new, unseen images that were supposedly locked away in private collections, never meant to see the light of day. But here's the real shocker. It's who she's with. The photos show Meghan moving through exclusive, high-profile circles she's never really spoken about before. Now, insiders connected to powerful Middle Eastern social circles are suddenly talking louder than ever. They're saying her pre-royal life wasn't just about socializing for fun. It was strategy. Calculated moves to build ties with Gulf state royalty and ultra-wealthy players. This wasn't just a few random party stops. This was Meghan making power plays before anyone even knew her name. According to people in those elite circles, Meghan was working her way through Monaco and the Mediterranean, forming real connections with billionaires, royals, and business moguls. The kind of people who control serious money and global influence. These weren't your basic yacht parties or influencer invites. These were private, invite-only gatherings where every handshake could change a future. And those leaked images, they show Meghan aboard multi-million-dollar yachts surrounded by some of the most powerful figures from Saudi Arabia and other ultra-rich nations. Just the setting itself makes people pause. These moments don't look like random vacations. They look like the kind of secret meetings where real-world doors swing open for a chosen few. The timing couldn't be crazier. Right when Meghan's out here polishing her image with Netflix deals and new lifestyle projects, boom! Someone drops photos that completely mess with the clean story her team's been pushing. It's like somebody out there waited for this exact moment to shake things up. Someone wanted those connections exposed, and they clearly picked now to make the move. The real mystery isn't just what's in those pictures. It's who leaked them and what else they might be holding back. Because leaks like this, they never happen by mistake. And they definitely don't stop after one round. The moment those yacht photos hit social media, the internet went insane. Within hours, hashtags were trending everywhere. TikTok sleuths were zooming in on faces, tracking backgrounds, comparing timestamps.
She couldn't force people to write the stories that she wanted them to write, so therefore she left to get privacy so that she could write the stories in her own.
The whole thing turned into a digital manhunt. Over on X, Twitter, users started linking people, places, and dates like detectives on a mission. These images spread like wildfire because they show a version of Meghan that barely ever gets mentioned, a side that most people didn't even know existed. And let's be clear, these aren't some grainy, outdated shots or recycled internet rumors. Nope. These are crisp, high-quality images from exclusive Mediterranean locations taken back in her pre-royal days. And they're raising some serious questions about how her road to power really began. That's why the internet can't stop dissecting every detail. These pics aren't vague, and they're definitely not blurry. There's no more guessing, no more, maybe that's her talk. The photos are clear as day. Meghan's in settings she's never once discussed publicly, and that's exactly why the world's watching this story blow up right now. The difference jumps out the second you see these new photos. For years, people argued over old, grainy shots that were easy to brush off, but not this time. These new leaked images are crystal clear, and they line up perfectly with what critics have been whispering for ages. Everyone's asking the same thing now. How did a struggling actress get access to this kind of luxury? Who opened those doors for her? Who made the introductions that led her into those powerful circles? And here's where it gets really wild. These photos didn't just accidentally fall out of someone's hard drive. Multiple insiders connected to elite international networks are all saying the same thing. Meghan wasn't just another face showing up at random yacht parties. She was part of a structured, well-organized social circuit that runs on money, status, and absolute discretion. This isn't your average party crowd. This is a world where every move is calculated, where people meet quietly, play the part perfectly, and know exactly when to keep their mouths shut. One insider even described it straight up. These networks revolve around exclusive travel, private gatherings, and providing polished company while keeping conversations completely off the record. That's not casual mingling. That's top-tier networking. And during her early so-called struggling actress phase, Meghan fit that role perfectly. Unknown but ambitious, suddenly showing up in international settings way beyond what her bank account could explain. That kind of access doesn't just fall into your lap. It's earned, or it's arranged, and that's exactly what's got everyone talking. Somebody had to vouch for her. That's the only way in. Someone had to open those doors, make those calls, and set up those introductions. And here's the part everyone's too scared to say out loud. Word is, these leaked photos didn't just come from random sources online. They came from inside those same high-end circles, from someone with actual proof.
The thing is, there have been lots of scandals which have never come out, I'm told, and the palace have been able to shut them down. So I think the belief is that they can shut these scandals down, and it's only when the scandals emerge that they have to put Plan B into practice. So, and I think if that's the case, then that could be very damaging if that's their attitude.
Someone who knows exactly who Meghan was meeting, what those meetings meant, and how those connections were built. That's not gossip. That's coming from people who were there. And if that's real, then this could just be the first wave. Because if one insider had the guts to leak these yacht photos, what else could be out there? What other pictures, messages, or receipts might still be hidden away? What other stories are sitting in private collections just waiting to drop? Word in elite circles is that people are already whispering, even if the mainstream media pretends not to notice. Reports say these images place Meghan at exclusive gatherings where Saudi and Gulf state figures were also present. Same yachts, same locations, same private organizers who handle only the most elite events in the world. And let's be honest, you don't just stumble into that crowd. You don't accidentally end up surrounded by that kind of power. You get invited, you get approved. Someone important has to decide you're worth bringing in, and that doesn't happen without a reason. That's what makes this so striking. Because in those leaked shots, Meghan doesn't look lost or out of place. She looks calm, confident, and completely at ease, like someone who knows how that world moves. She's not just a guest on those yachts. She looks like she belongs there, like she's been playing that game for a while and understands exactly how it works. Sources are finally speaking up. And what they're revealing takes the story to a whole new level. During what insiders now call her yacht years, Meghan wasn't just showing up once, taking a few pictures, and disappearing. According to people who actually moved in those same spaces, she built ongoing connections, long-term relationships tied directly to Saudi and Gulf state elite circles. And we're not talking gossip or one-time introductions. These were professional-style links that involved private travel, repeat invites, and total discretion about who was connected to whom. That kind of consistency doesn't happen by accident, and it's got everyone watching closely. If high-level insiders are suddenly willing to talk, and if private photos are leaking from collections that were never supposed to surface, then somebody somewhere decided it's time to put her old networking story under the spotlight. It's like someone out there is deliberately rewriting the narrative that's been protected for years.
Well, this woman is just a master manipulator. It's the entire reason that they left the royal family in the first place. They constantly banged on about saying, we want privacy, we want privacy. Well, I don't think a 6-part Netflix series is privacy, nor is an Oprah interview. What she really wanted was control.
And now the internet's zooming in frame by frame, trying to piece together the real timeline. The new photos themselves are telling. They're dated between 2008 and 2012. The same period Meghan's team has always described as her struggling actress phase, when she was supposedly barely getting by in Los Angeles. Yet these images show something very different. Meghan aboard high-end yachts in Monaco and all across the Mediterranean, spaces normally reserved for billionaires, diplomats, and major international power players. Even the timing checks out. Summer 2010 shots place her right at events where Saudi and Gulf state figures were confirmed to be present. Same yachts, same ports, same exclusive facilitators who specialize in linking business tycoons with the global elite. It's a perfect overlap that's way too precise to ignore. And that's exactly why everyone's talking right now. Then comes 2011, and out of nowhere, Meghan lands Suits. Not through the typical Hollywood grind, not from years of auditions and rejections. It just happens fast, almost too smooth. For years, people have wondered how those doors suddenly opened for her. Well, these new leaked photos might finally hint at the real backstory. They suggest that her connections weren't random. They were earned through years of networking with people powerful enough to make real moves, people who could pick up a phone and change someone's life overnight. By the time Meghan crossed paths with Harry in 2016, through Marcus Anderson and those famous Soho house circles, she wasn't new to elite environments at all. She'd already spent close to a decade navigating those high-level social scenes, learning how to read the room, how to stay relevant, and how to make herself valuable around influence that most people only dream of touching. And here's the wild part. These leaked photos don't show a one-time situation. They reveal a pattern, multiple yachts over multiple years, always surrounded by similar high-profile figures. That's not coincidence. That's careful long-term positioning, strategic networking at its finest. And come on, this leak didn't just fall from the sky. Whoever dropped these images waited for the perfect timing, right when Meghan's in the middle of a massive rebrand, pushing Netflix deals, lifestyle ventures, and a cleaner public image. Suddenly, boom, out come these never-before-seen shots, dragging her past right back into the spotlight. That's no accident. That's precision. Whoever's behind this knew exactly what they were doing. They waited until she felt untouchable, confident that her old world was buried deep. And then, just like that, they flipped the script.
Next to Meghan at the opening ceremony of the Invictus Games. And it's amazing when you look at that footage back because you realise just how far Prince Harry has dropped.
These photos don't look random at all, and they look calculated. And whoever's leaking them clearly knows way more than they're letting on. These leaks aren't random. They're strategic. Every new release feels like a warning shot. A message saying, go ahead, keep pretending nothing happened, and watch what drops next. That kind of precision doesn't come from outsiders guessing in the dark. No way. This has the fingerprints of someone inside those elite international circles. Someone who's clearly done staying quiet while Meghan keeps reshaping her own backstory. This person knows exactly how those high-end networks work, who was involved, and how those doors really opened for her. And now it looks like they've decided it's time for the world to see the real version of events. The motive? That's the million-dollar question. Maybe it's payback, someone she upset years ago. Maybe it's protection, someone shielding powerful names from being dragged into new controversies. Or maybe, just maybe, it's who thinks truth matters more than the polished image her team has been selling. Whatever the reason, the timing couldn't be more deliberate. If these yacht photos are dropping now, January 2026, nearly 20 years after Meghan supposedly left that world behind, then whoever's doing this has been waiting. They've been sitting on proof, holding the receipts and choosing their moment carefully, and waiting until it would sting the most. That's not revenge in a hurry. That's a long game, planned and precise. And here's what those photos reveal. Meghan didn't just stumble into elite circles. She lived in them for years. She kept that side quiet, waving off questions as wild rumors. But now those private collection images tell the exact same story insiders have been whispering about all along. That's not speculation anymore. That's visual proof. And the silence from her camp, that's the loudest part of all. No statements, no context, no pushback, just total quiet while these pictures explode across every major platform. And in a world where silence usually means denial, this silence sounds like confirmation. It's starting to look like Meghan's team is just hoping this whole thing fades away. They're banking on the idea that people will lose interest, that everyone will stop asking how a struggling actress could afford that kind of high-end lifestyle or build connections at that level. Because let's be honest, if these photos were harmless or easy to explain, her team would have jumped on it instantly. They'd be out front, dropping statements saying, here's what really happened, here's who invited her, here's why it's all totally normal. But nope, nothing. Total silence. And that silence, It's louder than any denial could ever be. That's exactly why the questions keep building. No answers, no context, just the quiet echo of a team that clearly doesn't want to touch this story. These newly leaked yacht photos are sparking conversations Meghan's never wanted to have. Ones about her early networking tactics and relationships she's never publicly acknowledged. And now, everyone's zoomed in, paying close attention to every detail. Let's look at what's actually happening here. Brand new yacht photos surfacing in January 2026, showing Meghan mingling inside international elite circles during her so-called struggling actress phase. That alone is a major contradiction, and it opens the door to some tough questions. First question, who was funding that kind of lifestyle? Because no cable TV actress just casually bankrolls Mediterranean yacht trips surrounded by international power players. That kind of scene doesn't come cheap. Someone had to be footing the bill, covering the travel, the access, the appearances. So who was it, and what was the arrangement? Second question, how did she even get in? You don't just stroll onto a private yacht full of global elites. Someone had to vouch for her. Someone had to position her as worth inviting. So who made that call? Who decided she belonged in that world? Those are the questions people want answered, and the silence from her side just makes them louder. Third question, what did those networking relationships really involve? Because these photos don't show big, crowded parties or public events. They show intimate, private gatherings, the kind where every guest matters and every move is watched. These were small circles, closed-off environments, and serious access to people with real power. That's not just casual mingling. That's calculated, professional-level networking with figures who could shift opportunities overnight. Fourth question, how did all of this connect to her sudden career rise? Meghan went from being a relatively unknown actress to landing suits. And not long after that, she meets Prince Harry through Soho House connections. All of that came after years of moving inside elite international spaces. So who was really opening those doors? Who was setting up those introductions that led her from quiet hustling in Hollywood to global recognition? Because that kind of trajectory doesn't happen without powerful backing. Fifth question, who's leaking these photos now and why? These images were buried for more than a decade, hidden so well most people didn't even know they existed. And suddenly, they're everywhere in January 2026. That's not coincidence. Somebody wanted her old world exposed, and they picked this exact moment to make it happen. These aren't random conspiracy questions. These are legit questions sparked by newly surfaced evidence that clearly connects her past to her rise. And the louder the silence from Meghan's side gets,
dropping her children off at school, which she conveniently brought the cut reporter to. Because, quote, I would have 40 photographers taking photos in a press pen if I wanted to drop Archie at school in the UK. Meanwhile, my friend Dan Wooten, who has broken tons of news on them, says William and Kate drop off and pick up their 3 kids, including the future King of England.
the more people are starting to believe there's something real behind it all. And here's where the timing hits hardest, and Meghan's in the middle of a full-on rebrand. Between Netflix projects, lifestyle ventures, and her push to present herself as relatable, inspiring, and authentic, these leaks couldn't have dropped at a worse moment. It's like someone deliberately timed them to challenge the image she's trying to rebuild right now. Then, boom! Out of nowhere, fresh photos drop, showing years of yacht networking with top-tier international figures. Pictures that scream strategy, not spontaneity, that don't exactly match the polished everyday woman vibe she's been selling lately. Because seriously, how does that line up with relatable Meghan giving lifestyle tips like she's just one of the crowd? How does that fit with inspiring Meghan claiming she built everything from pure talent and grit alone? It doesn't. And that's where things start to fall apart. These photos throw her whole self-made story into question. They paint a picture that her rise wasn't just built on hard work or determination, but also on years of calculated networking inside powerful private circles during her so-called yacht era. And let's be fair, networking isn't wrong. Everyone does it in some form. But the problem here is that it completely clashes with the story she's been telling the world. The I did it all on my own narrative. The no advantages, no help, just pure hustle version doesn't exactly fit when there's visual proof of her surrounded by international elites. Once people see that contradiction, they start digging deeper, asking questions she clearly doesn't want to touch. Who helped her rise? Who made those early introductions? And how much of her success was really strategy, not struggle? And here's the kicker. These new leaks prove something major. It's clear people have been sitting on this evidence for years, just waiting for the perfect moment to drop it. That means Meghan was never fully in the clear. Her past was always just one leak away from colliding with the brand she's trying to sell today. And now that it's finally happened, there's no going back. She's losing grip on the story, fast. Every time a new photo drops, it drags attention right back to the parts of her past she's worked hard to keep out of the spotlight, and that makes her whole rebrand start to wobble. You can't control the narrative when new proof keeps surfacing again and again. Now, here's where things get even more serious. The international angle. These aren't random Hollywood parties we're talking about. These photos tie Meghan to elite circles connected with Middle Eastern royalty and Gulf state power players. And in that world, one rule stands above everything else: discretion. Silence isn't just expected, it's required. What happens in those private yacht networks stays buried, always. No leaks, no names, no trace. So if brand new photos are suddenly appearing now and insiders are starting to talk more openly about her time in those circles, that means something big has shifted. That kind of protection doesn't just vanish without reason. It suggests the old boundaries around her, the quiet agreements that once kept everything sealed, are gone. Maybe people inside those elite networks didn't like the way she's been publicly rewriting her story. Maybe they know details that clash with the polished image she's built. Or maybe her growing controversies have made her too risky to protect anymore. And of course, there's always the other possibility. She crossed someone powerful who decided that silence was no longer worth keeping. Whatever the motive, the message is clear. If international insiders are now letting these yacht photos see daylight, Meghan's lost some of the protection that once shielded her. And that's a serious warning sign. Because in those circles, once discretion disappears, nothing stays off limits. What else could be out there? More photos, travel records, private invitations, or even messages from people who were actually there, watching how those elite circles operated up close. Because here's the thing. These yacht photo leaks might just be the first move. Whoever's behind this seems to be testing the waters, watching how the public reacts before deciding how much more to drop next. That means we could be looking at more than just pictures, maybe documents, first-hand accounts, even receipts showing exactly how the travel was arranged, who made the introductions, and how those ultra-private connections really worked behind the scenes. And that's where things start to close in for Meghan, because her options right now are limited. She can either stay silent and let the questions pile up higher each day, or she can speak out and risk inviting even deeper scrutiny into the parts of her story she's never wanted to explain publicly. Either way, things are getting messy, fast. Her rebrand's already under strain, and these new yacht photos are putting real cracks in the image of openness and authenticity she's been pushing. They raise questions about how much of her story we've actually heard, and how much has been carefully edited out. Now the door's wide open. These brand new images, leaked from private collections in January 2026 by someone who clearly knows the full story, have forced a hidden chapter straight into the spotlight. Whoever's behind this isn't acting out of impulse. This looks like someone who's done staying silent. Someone ready to show exactly what Meghan's networking strategy looked like during those secret yacht years with international elites. And while those photos spread across every platform, her response remains the same: total silence. But that silence doesn't sound confident anymore. It sounds cautious, maybe even worried, like she's hoping the storm passes without having to face it head on. But this story, it's just heating up. If you want to stay on top of every twist, every drop, and every new revelation that might surface next, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. You won't want to miss what's coming next, because this story is far from over. See you on the next one.